Hello, I'm Tony Guida. This is My New York. A giant in journalism and a legend in the fight for women's rights died last week. Betsy Wade was the first female copy editor ever hired by the New York Times, and the woman who led the lawsuit that broke the back of that paper's 125 years of sex discrimination. Journalism in New York, Betsy famously said, involves theft of government documents and plenty of booze and sex. The irrepressible Betsy Wade was my guest on this program 3 years ago. Tonight, we look back. I consider it an honor to welcome to the program Betsy Wade. Nice to see you.
It's an honor to be with you. You've been my hero for so long.
Well, that's sweet. Thank you. I talked about your historic hiring by the Times and the courageous activism of that lawsuit, but I'd like to start with another accomplishment of yours. You were the first New York Times copy editor to swim fully clothed in the Pulitzer Fountain. Can you tell us that story and maybe the PG version so we don't lose our license here?
Well, it's my devout hope that nobody kept any records on this.
Oh, good.
But there's a late shift, there was a late shift at the New York Times, and those of us who often worked together up until 3 in the morning had to go do something after. You can't go home and lie down and rest after you've been dealing with all this to do.
Yeah.
So we often used to go down into what they called the Casbah in the West 20s, where they had all kinds of belly dance places and what have you. And a friend of ours said, well, I'm going to send you one of my students from Seattle, and I want you to take her out and give her a good night showing her how they spend the evening at work.
Very dangerous.
Indeed, indeed. Lovely young woman, perfectly charming, and extraordinarily good belly dancer, as it turned out. And people kept buying her drinks at the bar to make her do it again. And finally we decided we had to get out of there. We were really running out of money. So we left the West 20s and we kept going until we got to the Pulitzer Fountain, which, if you do not know, is right in front of the great Plaza Hotel, in the corner between the Plaza Hotel and Bergdorf Goodman's.
Just refurbished recently.
It was. Every once in a while, the big bowl on top, which is enormous, cracks, and they have to replace it because ice gets into the crevices.
So it's what, 2, 3 in the morning? And
2 or 3 in the morning. It's a warm day. We've walked away. We're all sweaty. And I said, well, we really better cool off. So all of us went into the fountain. I think it was 5 copy editors and the Sequoia Virgin, who had been sent to us by our friend on the West Coast. And then after a while, somebody said, I think the police may not care for this sort of thing. So somebody gave me $10, and I took the Sequoia Virgin north to where we lived.
Sequoia Virgin, you called.
That was what we called her. We couldn't figure anything else because nobody was ever sure what her name was.
This is the woman sent to you from Seattle.
Seattle, from a former co-worker.
I love that epithet, the Sequoia Virgin.
Well, I now look at that fountain when I came by on it today, I looked at that fountain, which is covered with all kinds of greens because they hadn't had a chance to take them down. But to have swum in the Pulitzer Fountain, you've really gone swimming in the reality of journalism.
I see. Okay, that you put that on your resume. It took the Times 105 years to hire you, to hire the first woman copy editor. And learning that, it just flies in the face of the things that I think or thought I knew about the Times. This is a liberal, very liberal newspaper. Yet apparently, not apparently, obviously, its policies were the opposite of liberal. Its hiring policy.
Like the hiring policies in the situation where you've never had a woman working, for instance, are going to come from the very top. And one of the things, for instance, there was one woman printer. The Printers Union, as you can remember, was an extremely powerful organization. Yeah. And she was a member, and her seniority came up, and she elected to be a typographer at the New York Times. But as far as getting a woman into that great, full, block-long city room to work amongst these foul-talking men who had cuspidors and...
yeah, and a foul atmosphere. I mean, spittoons and...
Indeed. That was something that they really balked at. But they had a woman editing the material in what was then called the Women's Department or Women's News. They had a guy there working for some years, and he decided he'd rather work for an antiques magazine. So he tendered his resignation, and they had called me, because I had called them 100 times, and said, would you like to come and do a tryout? So I went and did a tryout.
And your tryout lasted 45 years.
Well, not quite. By that time, they had found some other women they could hire too.
Well, but your career at the Times spanned from that tryout 45 years. I hope there's not still a women's department at the time.
Well, it is spread all over. I think it's a huge part of it. I mean, for instance, all of the style material was what they used in those days for the women's department. And the men's fashion section is embraced in this area. I think New York has always been a fashion city.
Yes.
So that obviously one of the first things that was swallowed up was the clothing. This is what we're going to put out here. But no, I don't think that they're hired that way. They had a lot of job classifications that had female and male names. And there was a different amount of pay for each one of them.
Right.
Which is not cheerful by any means. But the reason I think that it didn't move along was that Mr. Ox, who had bought the paper and made it great, and his son-in-law and his son all were really nervous about having women work at night, having women work in the sea. There were female reporters, not an awful lot of them.
Right.
You can read, for instance, Lucy Freeman's book about her psychoanalysis. She was working for the Times, and she called it Fight Against Fears. And she didn't know she needed a psychoanalyst until they sent her out to cover an Oklahoma City explosion. And she said, even the poor cow was standing in the field with no one to milk him. So,
well, you get hired, I guess it was what, 1956?
56, yes.
For the women's department, and later the city desk, and later the foreign desk, and as I said, it became a 45-year career, but we'll come back to that. I want to find out where it started. When did you become interested in journalism? When did you know you wanted to be
Seventh grade?
7th grade?
Yes.
So you're what,
Didn't you want
13
to
at the...
on television in 7th grade?
You're 13, what, 13 years old?
In there sometime.
And what makes a 13-year-old, a 7th grader think, oh, I want to be a journalist?
I think 2 elements, Tony. One is it was wartime. And while most schools had newspapers, their paper was a bit short. There just wasn't any paper, so you couldn't print or mimeograph a junior high school paper. So what they did was they preceded the Chinese. They had a wallpaper, and the material was typed and posted up on a big cardboard on the wall. And I could stand in the hall and look at people reading what I wrote and laughing. And I thought, this is the life. People can listen to me without my knowing they're listening to me, and they can laugh. So from then on, that was the way. I edited the high school paper. I edited a couple of college papers. And I had some very good...
You delivered the Times as a
I delivered the
girl.
Times. I have my first paycheck, $1.
You had a paper route. And
I had a paper route. I had a hard time, too. Boy, you really have read up on this. I had a hard time, too, because the year that I started delivering the New York Times, mostly to faculty, but also to students, was the same year that the Herald Tribune put in the crossword puzzle.
Ah.
And as a crossword puzzle fiend, you have to know that this was almost a death blow to me. I thought, I'm never going to hang on to my circulation.
You talk about, I've heard you or read that you were a voracious reader. Yes. From the youngest years.
Yes.
What were you looking for in those books?
I was looking, I think, for how a girl could grow up to be somebody. I mean, a huge number of books at that time, I think, were written to the fact that women, girls had a very small role in the world. If somebody found out about Amelia Earhart, there would be 25 books about Amelia Earhart because there just weren't any role models. And I read them. I still reread some of those because they're mostly orphans. You don't know. You never read girls' books, did you?
I didn't. I admit I didn't.
Most of the girls were orphans. I mean, they have to make their little princess, Lady Jane, all of these people who have been left alone in the world to make their way. And what are they going to do? Very good material.
You made your way eventually to Columbia,
yes.
taking a master's in journalism. And you were one of 10 women in the class of 60?
60 thereabouts.
And I think I've heard you say that was the quota. There was a quota for women?
There was, yes.
At Columbia, journalism.
That wasn't the own quota that was there either. That's exactly so. The position of the dean and of the administration was that they couldn't find jobs for more than that many girls. So they just didn't admit them to start with.
Because they felt they wouldn't succeed in helping you find employment, they wouldn't entertain having more of you in the class. Instead, perhaps maybe change, working to change the landscape.
I don't know. Go ahead.
I don't want to try to rewrite old history, but that...
Rewrite old history. We have to fix it up.
Anyway, you did pretty well at Columbia, and you got your first job at the Herald Tribune, which
yes.
was a marvelous paper.
It was indeed.
And how did that happen?
Oh, my mother, who was a very beautiful redhead, used to double date with the man who became the managing editor of the Herald Tribune, a man named George Cornish. She went out with the reporter for the Daily Racing Form.
The horse racing, yeah.
All that stuff. But at any rate, she sat down at her desk, my mother, with her quill pen, and she wrote, Dear George, guess what? So I went in to see George, and George was totally baffled by the idea that his old friend had a journalism ambitious friend. And the odd part about it was that Eugenia Shepard, who was the fashion person oncoming, had a maternity leave coming up. So she said, if you don't mind having a job for 6 months. I said, 6 months is fine.
So that's how you got the job.
That's how I got the job.
How did you lose the job?
Well, Eugenia came back from the Paris collections, and she called us all into the office, and she said, well, how's everything? What's going on? And I said, I'm pregnant. And she said, I have to go talk to Mr. Cornish about this. And I was fired.
Because they wouldn't?
Because they didn't want to give a maternity leave. And coincidentally, I was the least person on the seniority list.
Right.
So if you were going to have a layoff and reduce the size of the department, guess who
last
was
in,
there?
first out.
That's right. So out I went. And I was convinced my career was ruined forever. But
Well,
chugging, you keep chugging.
You keep plugging, and you plugged your way into something called the NEA. What was the NEA?
Oh, gracious. I would think it's still out there.
Is it?
It's Newspaper Enterprise
Oh, sure.
Association,
Okay.
one of the multi-million properties of Scripps Howard.
Yes, of course.
And they had a shop. Their headquarters were in Cleveland, but they had a shop in New York. And Jimmy Breslin and I were both young folks there. We were not only young folks, but we were young parents. We both had
the legendary
babies
Mr. Breslin. Yes.
Well, we can call him legendary. I always thought he was a great deal of fun, but he was a little difficult to get along with.
Yes, and you have a wonderful story about that. Yeah, I know. I have to say, I've known Jimmy and admired him, but he is a tough guy to be, to get along with. I mean, it's difficult. He can make things difficult.
He can be peevish, but he's a wonderful writer.
Oh.
And someplace it is writ, for him who writes beautifully, much forgiveness. And I think that's true, because you really want to have him rather than not have him. But I had a little tiny desk. If you work for Scripps Howard, everybody knows they don't even own the furniture. All the furniture is owned by some holding company. And I had a little tiny wooden desk, and it was between the big fat dictionary and what was known as the Manhattan phone book. Are you old enough to remember the Manhattan phone book? Wonderful, important reference book. And I sat between there, and Jimmy and everybody else, including his boss, the sports editor, would come out to look up things, and sometimes they would take their cigar stub and rest it down in the center of the. It's a little conflagration
right on or near your desk.
But into the crevice of the dictionary or the phone book. But I would say, get that thing out of here, please. They're going to catch fire again. So this irritated Jimmy. And he had noticed that I sat at my desk with my shoes off while I was working and concentrating. And one day he came and he got my shoes and he heaved them out the 16th floor window of 461 8th Avenue straight down. And I thought, well, how do we cope with this? And I decided that appealing to the management was not going to help.
No.
And I didn't think that the doorman would want to go out of the front door and go pick up my shoes off 8th Avenue. So I took the elevator down and I got my shoes out of the street and I went across the street to where Jimmy had gone to have lunch at Smith's Bar and Grill. And I said, now, Mr. Breslin, will you put them back on again?
Back on your feet?
My feet.
Yes, of course. But I mean, you were asking him to
be Cinderella and the Prince, and all these guys standing in Smith's Bar, looking at the great Breslin and looking at this strange woman coming in with a pair of shoes. So that was resolved in that way, and we did become friends. He made his first big freelance sale, and I think to the Saturday Evening Post, about a kidnapped child. And
but as I understand the coda to the story is
great coda to the story.
Yeah, please.
Gay Talese, who was also a sports writer, but he was a sports writer at the New York Times, came into me later when I was working at the New York Times city copy desk, and he said, guy across the street at Goff's Bar wants to speak to you. And I said, okay, Gay, and we took the elevator down and went across the street, and there was Jimmy Breslin sitting in the bar. And he looked up, and Gay said, Jimmy, I want you to meet. And he says, you don't have to introduce me to her. That's Betsy Wade. She is one tough broad. And I said, all right. The matter has now been resolved. The shoe story is at an end.
If Jimmy, for Jimmy, that's one of the highest compliments.
Oh, I knew that. I recognized that, particularly in a loud voice in a bar, a newspaper bar. I was clearly going to be labeled for the rest of my life.
Well, tough broad, you made it. Let's get back to the Times. You make it to the what's called the women's department, and you're a copy editor, and pretty soon become disenchanted with the kind of
Well, I
take
mean,
it the soft stuff that.
That was what I had been doing at that point for a good deal of my life.
But you
And
wanted
it was a
something more
living, but
substantive.
I figured that my job was to get the news to people, and what Mamie Eisenhower was going to wear for her inaugural dress was not of great interest to me, although obviously we had to get a photograph somehow. So I wanted to get down and deal with the real news.
Well, you make it, you finally get promoted to the city desk, and promoted, I'll call it, and
Yeah,
eventually.
I would say promoted, yes.
And then eventually the foreign desk. It's interesting that your progress at the time was glacial, yet you had no sense of, or perhaps you weren't aware of why it was moving so slow, were you?
I knew, but I didn't believe. You know,
okay.
I didn't believe that this could possibly be. There must many women tell you this story, tell everybody this story. I always assumed there was something wrong with me, that I did or said or offended or overstepped or something like that.
Couldn't be that there was a policy of
Couldn't
discrimination.
be that
It's
there
me.
was all
my
of
fault.
this effort, you know, all of this exertion that was going on. And when the women were first organizing at the Times, we went to see one rather prominent editor, and we said to him, you know, really, we got to talk about the privileges and the assignments. And he said, why did you come to me? I have 5 daughters. And this does what?
And yeah. I want to get to the foreign desk because there, your time coincided with many extraordinary news events, the Vietnam War, the Cuban Missile Crisis, the Pentagon Papers, and
Kennedy's death.
Kennedy's death. What do you remember about being on that desk and there's something going on? A new president, JFK, is in the White House, fairly new, and what came to be known as the Cuban Missile Crisis is beginning to unfold.
A thing that I remember, and it's quite vivid, you were probably in a similar situation. I worked Sunday afternoon and I took Friday off so that periodically I could go see my children play tennis at school or whatever they were doing. And so I came in on a Sunday afternoon, and the man who was sitting in as news editor came over to me and said, hold on to your hat. There's a lot of trouble brewing. And I said, what is brewing? And he said, we don't know, but the lights were on all night at the State Department. And I don't know that I have ever heard such a curious overture to such a terrifying episode that everybody left the lights on in the State Department. But it was it was a wild time. I worked 21 days in a row. I think most people did.
Yeah, I was in college at the time, and I remember seeing. Okay. Well, I'm not trying to date us here.
I think it's wonderful.
But I remember the reason I bring that up is it was a Jesuit college. I don't know if I should tell this story. It's embarrassing. But of course, the televisions, you know, even though it's not like it is today at universities where I'm sure there's a student center and their big screen. You know, we had maybe 1 or 2 televisions on the whole campus, but everybody flocked to that television to see what President Kennedy had to say. And I'll tell you, we were scared. And I was, what was I, a junior? I don't remember, but I was, I was getting ready to come out into the world.
Yeah.
And I wondered if there was a world going to be a world.
Get there.
What did you have? You're working, but on the other hand,
I was quite worried and anxious. Not as worried and anxious as the meltdown at the atomic energy plant down in Pennsylvania.
Yeah. 3 Mile Island.
That seemed
3 Mile
somehow
Island.
to be a lot closer.
Yeah.
But there was nothing to do but come to work, and so some of us slept on tops of the desks in order to get going early enough in the morning when the AP franchise again came into position. But we were living a goofy life. Somebody found that schedule the other day. The schedule for what we were all doing. It was page after page after page.
I want to tell the audience at this point that we are fortunate that Betsy has agreed to come back next week, and not only to hear more of her stories, but to hear about her activism, the lawsuit she brought against, or she and other women brought against the New York Times.
600 women. Don't belittle us for a moment.
we won't. I don't want to diminish, but a groundbreaking lawsuit against the New York Times, the editing of the Pentagon Papers. There's a lot to talk about, and good that we have another week to do it in. But before we leave this week, what was it like to be on a copy desk of a major newspaper when John Kennedy was assassinated?
It was the state of sort of instantaneous semi-paralysis, and then everything began to move. I mean, everybody moved people from one desk to another. They transferred them. I was on the street. I was looking at a television. It was my day off, looking at a television set that was showing what you were seeing.
Yeah.
And I called up and I said, "Jimmy, do you need help?" He said, "As fast as you can." So I just got on the subway and went to work, and that was a long siege too.
It's you set the scene there a little bit. I mean, on the one hand, we're human beings and we're reacting, in the news business, we're reacting to catastrophic events.
Yes.
And on the other hand, we got to get people moving, get assignments. Right. You're going to do this, you're going to do that. Let's see,
I think this is the classic Janus face of the newspaper business. There is the emotion that you have, and there is the necessity that you have got to go ahead and do the next thing that has to be done, whatever that may be.
Yeah. Well, we're going to leave it there, but you'd be well advised to join us next week, and Betsy's going to talk about the Pentagon Papers and the lawsuit against the Times and so much else. It's going to be a very rich conversation, and we want you in on it. And thank you, Betsy. We'll see you next week.
Thank you for asking me.
Okay.